Daelon and I were cocooned together, my nude body against his under a pile of blankets. My head was on his chest, my legs tangled with his as his arms held me to him. We must have dozed off again soon after awaking the first time in this new place. This free place. The smell of spices and cooking still wafted through the air, and my stomach rumbled in response. The hunger pangs were sharp and biting now. My adrenaline had been pumping too strongly before for me to feel any pain at all, aside from the utter anguish of witnessing my new friend bleeding out on the ground before us. I hadn't eaten since before I died. I died. Then I'd escaped the supposed all-powerful, illegitimate king of Aradia with the love of my life. It had been an eventful week. I knew that Daelon had barely eaten or slept the 4 days I was dead, during which he guarded my lifeless body like a feral animal, driving himself to hallucinations. I shuddered, nuzzling closer to his bare chest. I counted his heartbeats, listening for their steady rhythm to ground me here, to keep me from slipping into the memories that haunted and tormented. Like when I thought he'd died in my arms out in the snow, when all the hope of our deliverance had been replaced by desperation and terror. He stirred when I clutched him tighter, and his heart picked up its pace. I lifted my head, suddenly aware of the faint humming and footsteps somewhere nearby. I figured it was the woman who rescued us, but I didn't think much about her now as I found Daelon's eyes. "You need to eat," I blurted. He blinked. Then he broke out into a slow grin. "Isn't that my line?" I started to smile back, but those words brought back the memory of my dream and subsequent astral travel. It could be hard to tell the difference between the two, but I knew the first was a dream because it was hazier now that I was in waking life. The second felt just as real as any other memory, which meant either Lucius had found a way to twist my dreams into the creepy and demented, for whatever psychopathic reason, or my subconscious had decided to torture me. It had to have been Lucius. But I didn't want to think about any of that, and especially not him, for as long as possible. I wouldn't let him ruin our first moments of freedom. As I stared into the dark brown of Daelon's eyes, flecked with tendrils of gold, I realized with an aching sadness that this was his first moment of freedom in more than 2 decades. "You're free," I said, and his hands stopped their slow trail down the length of my back. His brows creased. "We both are." I nodded. I didn't want to call attention to my realization if he wasn't already thinking it. Daelon had spent nearly his entire life doing the bidding of the people who slaughtered his parents and everyone he'd ever known and loved.